Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts. Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you. Oh, there's a lot of joy in this room today. So we've got 2 more weeks here of our series we've been doing in the month of February on relationships, on the power of relationship to transform our lives. The first week we talked about the relationship with God and self. Last week we talked about marriage, about committed relationship, and I shared that sometimes spiritual teachers speak from their mastery and sometimes from their growing edge. Enough said about that. But today we're speaking about friendship. I've titled it, You've Got a Friend, that old Carole King song. But I will tell you that this is something I feel centered in, anchored in, and grounded in my life because I have been saved literally time and time again from my own worst thinking by committed spiritual friends who see me for the truth of who I am. So today, I feel like I got a little bit more bona fides about this one today. And Timmy was in Sunday school class, and he was bad again. So one more time, his Sunday school teacher had put him in timeout, and after he was separated over there apart from the other class, and she came over and she said, "Timmy, are you ready to rejoin us?" And he said, "Yes, I've been praying. I'm praying and I'm ready to come back." She said, "Good, I hope you prayed that God would make you a better boy." He said, "No, I've been praying that God would help you put up with me better." That's what I pray with my friends, that they will help me help them put up with me better. Because friendship requires authenticity. We are all human. I remember once I was in a 12-step meeting years ago and really beating myself up over something I had done, and somebody said to me, they said, "Michael, the best you're ever going to ever hope to achieve is humanity." You mean, really? I'm still going to be human? I thought at some point I was going to be done with all that. But we're human. And in Unity, we teach that we are divine and human. Ernest Holmes said our humanity is divinity revealed. We have a lot of judgments about that, but so last year in 2017, I brought a friend of mine from Dallas to come speak to us, Alexis Rice. She's a speaker there, teacher, and she gave a Wednesday night message, and she said something just kind of as a throwaway, just kind of in passing, that really moved me. She was talking about Jesus as the master teacher, and he gave us a model for friendship. He said it like this. She said it was because he was with the multitudes, with the 12, and with the 3. And that really struck me because we all have public lives. We all have relationships in the world, and that's kind of a good way. And I'm a minister, and I always like to have 3 points in a sermon. So that worked really well for me to get the multitudes, the 12, and the 3. And so that's what I want to share with you today, about those 3 relationships, those 3 types of relationships when it comes to spiritual friendship and how that works in our lives. Before I move into that, I want to share, too, that there are those among us who is extroverts, and those among us who is introverts. Now, the truth is we're all both. Introverts need people and need friendship and love people and love their friends, and extroverts need solitude. We all need both. But typically, we test higher on certain scales than others. I am a big old extrovert. I just love people. When I'm around people, I get energized and uplifted, but even I just get tired of y'all at some point. And I just need to go home and just be quiet. And for introverts, they might love their solitude and be alone, but they too will get enough of that, and they need to come back into community and into friendship. And so that's what we're sharing about today. So in the multitudes, what can we use that? So this is really about the way we are in public. It was said during Jesus' earthly ministry that he would travel in the Galilee area and in Jerusalem, and then thousands of people would come and hear his teachings and partake in community of sorts, a spiritual community with him. And he knew how to be in relationship with the multitudes. Most of us don't have a following like that, have you noticed? But I think what it means for us is how visible are we in our lives? I had an experience a couple of years ago at a church that may or may not have been this one. It was. I was speaking on a Wednesday night, and I don't even remember now why I was rushing home, but I was rushing to get home after the service, and so I'm driving down Richmond, and there's somebody driving too slow in front of me, and I kind of get right up on him. Then finally, I just got whipped around him and got back up and got up to the light, and guess what? It was somebody who was at the service from our church, and they just kind of went, and I kind of went, yeah. Just made aware that people see me and they see you. Matthew 5:16 from the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said, "Let your light shine before men so that your Father in heaven be glorified. They may see your good works and your Father in heaven be glorified." There's a visibility of our life that we leave awake as we pass through this world. What sort of an impression are we leaving? How are we impacting those around us, the ones we don't even know? It matters. And I want to caution us too, this is not image management. This is not, what do they think of me as I'm passing through? It's not that. It's how am I an emissary of God's good as I'm moving through this world? Because people see us. I said in another talk a few weeks ago that if there was a court of law and you were being tried for being a Unity Truth student, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Good to think about, right? So that's really what I want to say about that our lives are both private and public, and people see us. So we're all human, we're all imperfect, but let's seek to act and speak from that place of knowing the divine presence of God dwelling within us. The second, that idea of the 12. Jesus had the 12 disciples, the apostles. And the number is not important. What it means is you have a circle of people around you that they're just your people. They're your tribe. I met Stephanie Bland at Unity Village 5-6 years ago. She was leading a volunteer choir. That day was the Martin Luther King Community Choir as part of our celebration of Martin Luther King Day, and I was the keynote speaker brought in that year. And I just, zoom, there she was, my tribe, recognized it. And we all have people like that. They're like us in some way. They're a soul fit. And we need those people. We need those people around us to support us, to help us be who we are, who God has called us to be. This week I was reading in Mark Nepo's wonderful daily devotional guide. It's called The Book of Awakening. Oprah had it as one of her favorite things a few years ago. It's a really wonderful book. And he was talking about this idea of authenticity, of bringing who we are fully into the world. And he framed it as spiritual warriors. This is a little bit of a long reading, but I want you to hear this. It is true, there is such sadness in our world. But there is a difference between feeling the pain of things breaking, ending, or drifting apart, and the sharper pain that comes from measuring the inevitable events of life against some ideal of how we imagine things are supposed to be. In receiving hardships this way, life is always falling off. What he means by this is that life is difficult at times for everybody. And it's harder when we think that it shouldn't be. And when we judge ourselves for having our hearts broken. I call it the metaphysical double whammy. We've already drawn into our experience this painful thing that has happened, and then we make ourselves wrong for having it. He goes on, life is hard enough without viewing all our pain as evidence of some basic insufficiency. There is a beautiful Tibetan myth that helps us to understand and accept our sadness as a threshold to all that life is, changing and lasting. This myth affirms that all spiritual warriors have a broken heart. Alas, must have a broken heart, because it is only through the break that the wonders and the mysteries of life can enter us. So what does it mean to be a spiritual warrior? It is far from being a soldier. but more the sincerity with which a soul faces itself daily. It is this courage to be authentic that keeps us strong enough to withstand the heartbreak through which enlightenment can occur. In this Tibetan myth, the idea that warriors are broken-hearted beings, because somehow it is through that brokenheartedness that enlightenment comes. This is not news to any of you. We have all been through heartbreaking events in our life, things that we didn't know if we would recover from, that we didn't know how we were going to come through it, and we did. And we were stronger, and we were better, and we were more whole because of the brokenness. Amen? This is part of the spiritual path. Next month, we're doing a whole series on transformation, culminating with Easter Sunday. I think that's the perfect way to end a series on transformation. Because the old must die, that the new be revealed. And it requires that we are open, warts and all, broken hearts and all. Some of us, we do that image management thing, and we try and look real spiritual in this world, and we try and have it all handled, and so we don't tell the truth of our experience. Because we think that we're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to be spiritual. John Bradshaw said it famously, you've got to feel it to heal it. It's not the truth of your being, but it is the truth of your experience. And to do this with your 12, to have a tribe of like-minded souls. Let me tell you about my friend Annie. I met her 1984, 10 years ago or so. I was a freshman at Oral Roberts. In my mind, it's still 10 years ago. I don't know. I was a freshman, and my first day of registration, I'm a freshman at Oral Roberts University, yeah. I met her there, and I judged her. She was wearing too much makeup, and she said that she liked to listen to Prince. And I was a good Christian boy who didn't listen to that music. I love Prince, by the way. So anyway, I just thought, who is she? Why is she here? Why is she spoiling my perfect little environment? But there was something about her that captured me, and we struck up a friendship. I was just at her daughter's wedding over the holidays. There are 5 of us, actually, who have kind of formed around Annie. She's sort of the linchpin. It must be that wild nature of listening to all that music. I don't know what it was, but we all just loved something about her. And I will tell you, the next year when my traditional Pentecostal faith began to deconstruct, when it didn't fit anymore in my personal life and the way I saw the world, I needed a God to be bigger than that. She's the one I called. And I spent a summer with her family in northern Michigan. And we are tribes people. There are 5 of us, like I said. We live in New York, LA, Texas, Colorado, and northern Michigan. We get together every year. And it's the greatest gift to have people. And here's why. Last week when I talked about marriage, I said that it's really important that we give people room to change. You know, the opposite of that is true as well. And we have to remind people that they are the same. Even through the divorces, even through cancer, that we see the light that is unchanged in each other. It's been such a gift to have people hold that for me. So that's what our 12 does for us. They hold us in the center and they say, we know who you are. We know who you are. And let that go. The 3, how do we need the 3? This really means these are the intimate of intimates. These are the people, it may just be one, but this is the person, they know all your story. Not just driving impatiently in traffic, they know all the stuff. The stuff I won't be sharing with you on Sunday mornings. Ever. I have been blessed to have friends that so deeply know who I am That when I'm having a day or a month or a year or a decade where I can't get there, they never, ever lose that. My friend Maggie Cole, I've had her come speak here on Wednesday night before a couple of times. She is an incredible teacher, particularly in the Science of Mind, the Centers for Spiritual Living organization. This week at their convention in Orange County, California, she's receiving the practitioner, not emeritus, I said it wrong again, Meritorious Award. She's being recognized by the entire movement for her work as a teacher. She is my prayer partner, one of my prayer partners, and we do this for each other. We've both gone through really hard things together. And we're able to really be with each other in the humanity, in the hard, the painful place, and never, ever doubt for a moment that we're going to get through this. It's a powerful thing to have someone who knows you, that you will let see that much of your brokenheartedness, to be that authentic with, trusting that their faith in you is stronger even than your own. About 10 years ago, I had one of those relationships. Well, Cole Porter wrote a song about it. He said this: "It was just one of those things. If we had thought about it at the beginning, if we had thought of it at the end of it, before we started painting the town," I just sing a little bit, "before we started painting the town, we'd have realized this love affair was too hot not to cool down." You know that. They just flame and then they just die. Mine lasted about 4 weeks. And I can't tell you why, but it just knocked my feet out from under me. I was just devastated. And I was in ministerial school, so I was supposed to be a spiritual teacher, and I was not supposed to be that devastated. And then later I could look back on it and see there were other things shifting in my life. Things that, old patterns of behavior and belief that needed to be ushered on out so that the new could come in. I couldn't articulate it. I just knew that I was heartbroken. And my friend Maggie came to Dallas to see me, and I remember this image so powerfully, and she'll probably watch this talk, and she'll remember it too. We talk about it. She was coming down the escalator at DFW Airport with her little backpack on, and she was just smiling. She's my mom's age too. It's so great. But she is just the youngest being I know. And when she got to the bottom of the escalator, she hugged me, and then she said, "Where does it have you, honey?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, if you imagine you're going through this knothole of this experience, where does it have you? Is it around your neck? Is it around your middle? Is it around your knees?" And I had no idea what she meant, but I had an answer. I said, "I think it's around my knees somewhere." She said, "Yeah, that feels right to me too." And we had this amazing visit where we ate and we talked and we cried and we prayed. And I got through it. And she knew I would. And somehow I was more me on the other side of it than I was before. More whole. More able to show up for her when she needed me to do that. Before I close, some of you don't feel like you have these kind of friendships, and I'm not here bragging. I'm just telling you my experience, my strength, my hope. My friend Lainey Bernstein is right over there. She's one of those people. She's my tribe, too. She's been through so much with me, and I with her. Emerson said this: "To have a friend, you must be one." If you're waiting for one of these friendships of this depth and caliber to just fall into your lap, you can keep waiting. You have to be the one that steps into it. And that requires vulnerability. Because each of us carries a fear of rejection and exclusion, and we have to be willing to risk anyway. This church, we offer two things. We offer the teachings of unity, of the New Thought movement, powerful, transformative teachings, and you don't have to come to church to get them. But we also offer this thing called community, spiritual community. This is an opportunity for you to make these kind of friends right here. So if you're afraid to put yourself out there, I'm going to invite you to open to the possibility that maybe you can start a conversation with somebody you see that's interesting. Take a class, join a group, find some way to get to know people. Because if you're only getting the teaching, you're only getting half of what we offer. And if you're only getting the community, you're only getting half of what we offer. I'm going to close over here again. People have been telling me you need to do this, but I need a microphone. This is a song that I wrote with my dear friend Melissa Felipe. We all forget who we are. And spiritual friendship offers us the perfect solution that we remember for each other.
When I forget, will you remember for me? When I forget, will you remember for me? Help me see what you see when I forget. And to be that kind of friend, to have that kind of friend, we must be willing to be it. When you forget, I will remember for you. When you forget, I will remember for you. I will see what you can't see. When you forget, when you forget, I will remember when you forget. So let us give thanks for this amazing gift of a friend. Whether they're here or they're on their way, we open to this reality of remembrance. Thank you, God. Amen.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org. Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.